You do something explosive. Now we're going to do something with intent that is more strength related. If you don't have access to like the VBT, what you can do is actually do something unbroken, or you can do something off the ground as fast as possible. Honestly, sometimes we'll have guys hit massive pad benches and then they actually PR their normal bench because the overload from having that eccentric. We're gonna break down the training of two of the most explosive athletes on the planet. They're strong, they're fast, they're agile, and here's the kicker. They both weigh over 300 pounds. And we're going to start right now. We're going to be looking at NFL All-Pro offensive lineman Lane Johnson and three-time Olympic champ, world record holder in the shot put, Ryan Crouser. And when we're looking at their training, we might see that they have a different perspective when it comes to explosive-based training and speed-based work. It's not always just genetics or just sprinting. It's developing those qualities inside of the weight room in a specific manner. I'm going to look at everything that they're doing in this specific workout, how it impacts their adaptations, and then what you guys can take away and apply directly to your training. I'm strength and conditioning coach Dane Miller. I've coached at 2 different Olympics, and I have 3 athletes currently in the NFL. And one of the big factors here is that most athletes can barely vertical jump 26 inches. They struggle to learn how to move fast and aggressively. And that's one thing that we're going to see in this video immediately is we're going to see how you can learn to actually train your explosiveness, to actually train to be aggressive and fast. And that's the cool part here is that we're literally learning directly from some of the greatest athletes on the planet. Lane Johnson is an absolute savage on the field, like one of the best athletes probably in the NFL. He was a former quarterback that now transitioned to left tackle. This is, a decade ago plus. And then we're going to learn from the greatest shot putter that has ever lived. So now they're starting their workout. Take note right off the bat, to be explosive, to be fast, you got to do your mobility. Lane Johnson's already in his positions here, doing almost like a pretzel position there to open up the hips as he's talking through everything. So there's Ryan Crouser. I'm so excited to do this. So we're going to see some really, really cool training. So we're getting into here. This is an interesting thing. Look what these guys are doing, by the way. They're crushing mobility. But if we think about shot put, for anybody who's watching that doesn't understand shot putting, okay, you look up Joe Kovacs. Look up Ryan Crouser. These are the greatest ever that have done it. They're the strongest and most explosive freaks, I believe, that are out there. They're super fast, super mobile. They hit good positions. They're technically minded. Okay. Shot put, in my mind, transfers, the training for it transfers so well because you have to have size. You have to be big. And that enables you to be more stable to then accelerate and implement a foreign object as fast as possible. And if we're looking at shot putting and the transferability, Joe Thomas, who's one of the greatest left tackles ever, was a former shot putter. And he's even talked about this himself. So there's a pretty unique connection here. Now, I also want to point out right here, this is Peyton Otterdahl. So we're watching a video with one of the best left tackles, Lane Johnson. We got Ryan Crouser, the greatest shot putter ever. And then we have Peyton Otterdahl, who's like a top 10 guy, got 4th at the Olympics, is genuinely an absolute freak when it comes to athletic ability. So we're really getting a unique peek into all these different aspects and what they're doing. So here we go with, looks like they're doing some type of warm-up with the thoracic spine, with thoracic extension. That was Lane right there. And then we saw Ryan doing some barbell work. So it seems as though they're going to be getting into some type of...
It's kind of like a resemblance of what would be like a French conjugate, kind of combined with French contrast. So like we've done heavy movements earlier in the week. So like I did heavy triples, front squat on Monday.
So he did heavy triples. So he's saying French contrast. So I'm gonna try and explain this as quickly as I can. If you think about contrast, conjugate. He's saying he did his heavy front squat triples on Monday. So heavy front squats Monday. Okay, now French contrast. Typically what French contrast would be is you would do a heavy lift, Then you might do a heavier or more intense plyo, and this might be in one setting. And then you do a speed strength movement that's weighted, and then you're going to do like a shorter ground contact time plyo, and that might be 4 exercises that go through that French contrast. So I'm going to see what Ryan's talking about when we're thinking about conjugate. You have like max effort, dynamic, or you could go max effort, dynamic, depending on your age level.
Coming off of like a bench or pec issue, so like I'm for like heavier bench.
Yeah. Now what's the French contrast?
So you're doing like something like to this conjugate, it's still like relatively fast compared to like a strength day, but it's like a heavy movement with like a lighter, faster movement. So like this, so this would be like snatch, so like 100K, so it's still fast, 100K snatch, and then go into like 30 pound, throwing it as high as you can. So it's like the same movement, like that same hang snatch, and then straight into like throwing.
Yeah, so typically French contrast would traditionally be like heavy strength, hurdle hop, power snatch at like 40%, pogo hop. And that would be a series of exercises. So he's basically saying, okay, this would be, let's say you take 2 clips out of that instead of doing those 4. Okay, so Lane's hitting some high hang cleans.
Trap bar deadlift, pull-ups, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty fast for me, so lifting wise. I mean, the most I've ever
pretty fast.
465 a few years ago, but I had a torn one of the 3 tendons of my rotator.
Could you imagine how much pain an O-lineman goes through after a game?
It's going to be nothing too crazy, but for me, it's like being able to combine. There's a lot of guys that are really strong weightlifting guys, and some guys can't transfer to the field, and there's some guys that aren't strong in the weight room, but they're really good football players. So it's you kind of see all like shapes and varieties.
You're already bald, you shave your head.
So basically Lane's saying like, look, you got to figure out how you can get strong in the weight room and transfer it to the football field, in my opinion there.
I feel like
how much worse can you get?
Peyton's talking about bald heads. Okay, so we're going to start seeing their lifts now.
Once you do the shaved head, like, and you accept it, it feels pretty good. Like, being bald is sweet. The thermal regulation's pretty nice. Like, you don't heat up as much.
Also, Otterdahl here, from things I've heard, his ability to move weight fast, from what I have heard, is absolutely insane. Okay, so 100K power snatch. That might be 225, but that's 100K. Okay, so he's got the... Man, I would love to know what Crouser was moving that at. Okay. So they're really looking at, okay, how quickly can we move a prescribed weight? And they have not increased the load.
And now, just throw these for height.
He said 8.6. I don't know if that's 2.86. Okay, so he is talking. This is huge here, right? We literally just got a big nugget. Okay, the big nugget here is that we're looking at what's peak velocity on these lifts, and Lane hit 2.7. I want to say that Ryan's first, he mentioned 2.86 meters per second. Okay, he just dropped this nugget that the golden number is 100K, 3 meters per second. Okay, so this is something big that, like, if you're training with VBT, or let's say if you're inside of our strength training at peak strength, okay, we might have an impulse day where you have a high hang power snatch. You want to move that 2.5 to 3 meters per second, and that's something that a lot of you guys might struggle with your power output. You struggle with taking that strength, as Lane had pointed out, taking that strength and turning it into some type of high speed impulse. A lot of athletes struggle with that. And something that we do is that when we're laying out our split, we like to build out day one might be a heavier day. Day two might be an upper body day. And then we try to get into that athlete day or impulse training to really try to unite that strength into that high speed work. And so if you guys are struggling as athletes to get as fast and as explosive as possible, click the first link in the description or the pinned comment. Head over to peakstrength.app, the Google Play Store or the Apple iOS Store. Download Peak Strength, put in your email, and then you can select the specific sport that you're training for. We have speed stuff in here. We have explosive work. We have everything to unite your training, and it's spoon-fed to you guys. So all you have to do is execute that work and get as twitchy as possible. Okay, so golden number, 3 meters per second, 100K.
Real.
304.
So what you do, you get more, got more on the hinge?
Yeah, so a hip.
So you get more hip snapping up?
Hip instead of a hang. I mean, if I was like a great Olympic lifter, I would do more from a hang because it's longer to accelerate.
Yeah.
But like,
For you.
my technique breaks down and I can just rely on like being explosive.
So here's the interesting part too that we can think through is if we are trying to work towards this like 3 meters per second, right? And you're watching Ryan execute this as fast as possible. You're immediately learning, and a lot of people, a lot of coaches will say, just because you move something fast doesn't mean, if you move something fast in the weight room, doesn't mean it transfers to your field. Sure, okay. But let's say you're getting your technical work done. You're doing your field work. You're doing your skill work. You're shooting hoops. You're taking your shots as a wrestler. You're throwing consistently. If you're doing these things, in Ryan's case, he's in a sport that's about a second, okay, to throw. Okay, from the time he picks up his right foot to the time the shot's out of his hand. If he's able to be stable and accelerate as quickly as possible, he's going to throw longer. And he has the technical component here. He has the physical component in the gym. That's a link that happens, okay, that now he's training that nervous system to recruit as effectively as possible.
I usually do the last one of the day as a hip because it's a little more of an indicator of like where I'm at. You know what I mean? 'Cause it's gonna be the fastest. So like, would love to have a technical master class on hang snatch the whole day, but like the numbers kind of show that my hip is still better than my hang, which.
Okay. So technique matters, but only to a certain point, right? If we're talking about a specific weightlifting movement. Okay, now they're doing, looks like banded cambered bar. Dude, Lane is, okay, I also want to say, like, Ryan's big. Ryan is a tall dude.
Or when I set up, like we had legend racks, I'm getting elite FTF, elite FTS racks this week, so.
But it's not bad.
Lane is also a big dude. These guys are big and they're squatting good depth. Okay, so it looks like they're doing.
Only been done by like a few people ever. Six just not happening.
So Lane's hands are probably enormous. Let's see here. I'm interested on this one. Because not only is it like strength in the finger. Ooh. Almost. I could see Otterdal being good at something like this. This dude has some of the best entrances ever into the stadium. He's got a different technique with his index finger there. Trying to get leverage. Okay, so now we're going to see if we can think about the snatch portion. They use that portion to dial in the nervous system, get super twitchy, get good hip extension. Now they're loading this a little bit more, but they also have accommodating resistance. So we're seeing...
Her weight was 334 before training camp practice one time. I didn't like the way that looked. I used to play my playing weights 322 to 332.
So he weighs 320 probably.
They really don't care if you're under, but if you're over, they will. It's like 800, 900 pounds. You're off.
Dang.
Like some guys get 12 pounds a week. Some guys have really bad weight problems. So a lot of fine money.
They get fined if they're overweight. So we're seeing. Oh, he's got.
We need to invest in this.
So this is interesting too, because he's measuring average velocity, and what you guys can take this as is, okay, you do something explosive. Now we're going to do something with intent that is more strength related. Lane's legs are freaking long, dude. Okay, so he's getting good lockout. 7.8, 7.2 it seemed. That's pretty good. 7.6 average, and usually what you're looking at.
Stay in the points over 0.7.
0.7?
Yeah, 0.7 is
So
usually
you're like right at it.
where you would see a bit more dynamic work. So if we reflect back to, and this is where we're talking about jumps, okay, if you reflect back to the beginning, we mentioned a lot of guys struggle getting 26-inch verts. Okay, so if you struggle with that, and then we're looking at, okay, Ryan walked us into, it's like a combo conjugate meets French contrast, okay? Now we're on this explosive squat movement, okay? 0.7 meters per second. He's contrasting this with a jump.
Ours is just guys get, you're blocking somebody and the guy you get rolled up on. So I had my left ankle reconstructed. I've had my both groins done. I tore that in 22, 23 against Dallas.
So we're seeing here, with accommodating resistance, 0.78 meters per second. Looks as though this is right around 285 on the bar. 0.79 average meters per second. He's probably got an extra, let's say 40 pounds at the top. We're probably looking 330, 350, somewhere in there. Good hip extension, good speed, good trunk stability. I want to know Crouser's numbers. 8.1. You see too, like, Lane's got good drive from the hip, great drive from that bottom position. So good contrast work. There's the interesting part too about contrast training, because there is some research that'll say like you don't see an impact even in the micro setting. I think when you start to get at the elite levels where you will see how effective contrast work can be, even measuring like.
Yes, right on the dot. It is.
32 inches.
The human measuring tape.
Is that you're starting to see athletes now, like you might see a squat versus ground contact time. Okay, that's a way to really know that if you're doing a squat and then you go do some type of jump here, you can see ground contact time decrease. So again, what we want to think about is, as an athlete, if you don't have access to like the VBT, what you can do is actually do something unbroken, or you can do something off the ground as fast as possible. You start with that technical coordination, then you get to the absolute strength with the superset. Now they're getting into, so this is what I would call full body impulse essentially. They're doing the pad bench after this, and this is on an incline. I'm interested to see these numbers. Lane's arms are a little bit longer probably, so he's a little. Okay, so that's 130. Lane's not as strong of a bencher. He talked about his shoulder issues. I'm sure Ryan's got some shoulder issues, but not to the same point. Can you imagine getting hit by Lane? Dude's a monster. Just boom. Okay, so now they're doing more pad work. Some people say, why do they use a pad? Okay, fast eccentric. You get a quicker lockout. Triceps get trained quite a bit there. Honestly, sometimes we'll have guys hit massive pad benches, and then they actually PR their normal bench because the overload from having that eccentric.
I don't know. It's about calories, but I mean a lot of steak, a lot of rice, like potatoes. Try to avoid the Gatorades much of my practice, but yeah, a lot of times you're in meetings or you're in walkthroughs, and then usually the last part of the day is practice. So, but we have a great cafeteria. Our staff's really good, so yeah, I think ours is probably some of the best in the league as far as.
How many meals do you eat there then?
3 or 4.
Really?
I mean, yeah. So
We'll have 3 to 4 meals a day at the calf.
I was curious of just like if you had to
No,
bring a
you
lot of
don't
your
have
own
to pay.
snacks and like stuff like that.
Yeah, no, our nutritionist, Stephanie, I think her last name's Kapala, she does a good job. Just everything's always stocked. There's always something.
It's sort of crazy. I've been to Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan, Notre Dame. You spend time in their calf, and you're sitting there just. It's pretty wild.
We got Brahms. You ever been to Brahms?
Oh yeah.
So they got just. Sometimes I'll go through and get 2 medium milkshakes, so they end up being like 44 ounces worth of like 2,000 calories in a shake.
You been to Andy's Frozen Custard?
Yes, we got one of those too. Hey, I need to stay away from
I
that.
think there's one on the way back into town.
There is.
Okay, so we're seeing here another pad. Sort of like those hooks. I'd be interested in those. Okay, now we're going to see. And this is the pad bench is a staple for most shot putters, most explosive athletes that have more mass. Looks like they're back playing around with the grip work.
Is that 5? That's 5. Dang!
All right, Ryan has to shave his head if he doesn't get it.
Ryan has to shave his head if he doesn't get it. So I think the big thing now is like what we're seeing is a fast pull-up. Okay, so think through the whole workout again. They had the fast technical coordination, hit that golden number. Heavier load on the squat with some contrast work, right, with the jumps. He's even got his VBT on the pull-up. And I'm assuming this is one for intent, but when you have rapid intent on a pull-up, again, your nervous system's firing as quickly as possible. You're really dialed in. You're going to execute your technique a little bit better too. And I think the important aspect here is it's not just always moving things fast. We heard what he said in the beginning. Heavy front squats triples were earlier in the week. So these are guys that are prioritizing heavy lifts. This is reminding me of when I had our podcast with 2-time Olympic champ in the triple jump, Christian Taylor. He would squat very heavy. He could power clean almost 2 times body weight. Power clean, not squat, power clean. But then he'd also later move as fast as possible. So when we're stepping back from this, we need to focus on long-term development when we're dealing with athletes, or if you're an athlete watching this, and that comes from those big lifts, those big, heavy lifts. We also need to have the ability to transfer this and to take this over to a sporting realm. And if you're still doing your technical work and then you just sneak in some athlete day or some impulse work like this, that's where you're going to see this connection happen to a very high degree. And that's exactly what we provide for you guys inside of our strength training app, Peak Strength. Click that first link in the description. Head over to peakstrength.app. Download Peak Strength today. Put in your email. Select the specific sport that you're training for to get as fast and as explosive as possible. Okay, we're going to set up that split specific to your sport. If you guys like content like this, click on this card right here, because remember, freaks, if you want to become a champion, you've always got to cultivate your power. Peace.